Welcome to the Art of Engineering, discovering the overlap of engineering and art.
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Engineering podcast. I'm your host, Chad Hardin, structural engineer with ASCE Structural Engineering Institute. You can visit us online at www.taepodcast.com. This podcast series explores the evolution of a career in engineering, the overlap of art and engineering, and also promotes engineering outreach and STEM or STEAM in schools. On this episode, I had a chance to visit the 2017 Pacific Southwest Conference held at UC Irvine. PSWC is an annual event hosted by ASCE student chapters in the Pacific Southwest region and encourages friendly competition between schools through events such as the Concrete Canoe and Steel Bridge competitions. I had a chance to talk first with UC Irvine student and Concrete Canoe design captain Christopher Smith, and I got to interview a few other teams as well. Enjoy, and thank you for listening. Well, we're here with Chris Smith, fourth year at UC Irvine, and we're also here at the Pacific Southwest Conference. And thank you, Chris, for carving out some time out of this busy day.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, so the event here, you're actually captain of the Concrete Canoe Committee, which is one of the events here at the Pacific Southwest Conference.
Yeah, I'm actually the structural captain, so I helped design our canoe this year for the UC Irvine team.
Okay.
Specifically for Southwest Conference. I mean, if we get really lucky, maybe we'll go national, but most likely we're just gonna...
So there's different regional conferences?
Yeah, there's different regional conferences. I know that there's a Pacific Northwest, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Where it's just East Coast, West Coast.
Okay.
And then I think the top school from each of those conferences goes to the nationals.
Okay. And you mentioned you're the structural captain. What other disciplines come into making a concrete canoe?
There's definitely the aesthetics part. The mix design is another huge part. We want the lightest, strongest mix possible.
Okay.
And of course, project managers. And in this case, rowing captain is another one, and construction captain comes to that. Specifically, they each have their own important things that they do. Construction, I helped out a little bit with, but our construction captain, Rosario, was really good at chasing down every lead we needed, so that on the day of, we had everything we needed.
Nice. So you're procuring materials.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult in that because we essentially gutted last year's canoe.
Okay.
And we went through a lot of different ideas, some of which we almost went through with, but we changed our mind at the last minute. So through a lot of trial and error, we ended up with the canoe that we have right now.
Is there a handoff of ideas from one year to the next?
Normally there is, but this I actually came onto the team pretty late because we have two structural captains at the beginning of the year, and both of them dropped out.
Oh, wow.
And the PM, I was planning on going to rowing only, and he asked me, do you want to design a canoe? And I said, sure.
Okay. So how did you design? Do you model it first and then build it, or how does that work?
I guess it all starts with an idea.
Okay.
You want to look at the problems that each year had prior to you, and you want to fix those problems so that you can encounter it. Last year, specifically, I thought that we could have made a little bit lighter of a canoe. And when I went to row, there was actually a huge crack down the side of it when we went to practice with it.
Okay.
So in my canoe, I didn't want there to be an issue at all where we were afraid that it was going to crack in half.
Okay.
So specifically, there wasn't really too much handoff from last year, but it was more the idea starts and you kind of form your idea, then you run it through different people to make sure you're not crazy when you're when you're thinking about it. And once that starts going through, then you start putting down numbers, and once you get down the numbers, then you ask, is this feasible? Is this realistic? Because theoretically, I did the calculations where the canoe should be able to withstand with only 0.3 inches of concrete thickness. But just using realistic judgment in that seemed a little too risky to actually implement. So it's just little things like that where you start with an idea, you put down numbers, and then you ask yourself, are these numbers legitimate?
Okay. So talking about bouncing ideas off other people, was there a sense of camaraderie as you went along, getting further along? Or?
Specifically for the structural design, it was more, I was pretty much trying to bounce ideas off of people, and when they would say, yeah, that sounds like it's going to work, just talking it out really helps me to like come across what my mistake was.
Right.
And as soon as I heard it out loud, I was like, oh wait, we can't do that because it's stupid. And then I realized, like, just them like hearing me out and then giving a little bit of input here and there, like what they thought, and we came up with a final design because I was fully prepared to go through with the 0.3 and with the go big or go home mentality.
Right.
But they talked me down a little bit, and we went with 0.4 which was a little bit safer, but still is an improvement over the design from last year.
Right. You were telling me you guys had a kind of innovative idea with adding rebar in, which is, I guess, unusual with the concrete canoe.
With concrete canoe, the main thing is to make it as light as possible, and every year, everyone tries to go as light as possible, as thin as possible, but most people try to go for about half an inch is usually about an average thickness that people go for. But since we wanted to go thinner, there wasn't a guarantee that the concrete itself could hold the bending of the canoe. So my solution was actually to toss in some rebar, which even professors here said that was a crazy idea, that it was too heavy. But doing the calculations, the rebar only added about 20 pounds. But we also can hold about 9,000 or 9 kip feet.
Okay.
So
that's significant.
It's a lot.
For something so thin.
Yeah, I essentially designed it so that we could have it on a point support and have the canoe fully loaded, and it wouldn't crack.
Oh wow!
So we could probably drop it, and it'd be fine.
That's actually a lot of capacity for something that's 0.4 inches thick.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you do a testing of like a point load test?
What we did is we had a punching test. So what we did is we took because we have reinforcement, of course, inside of the concrete, and what we did is we put it on a thin slab of 0.4 inches, and we pushed a block through it, and it was able to hold about 200 to 300 pounds without cracking.
Okay.
And then it was able to hold 2,000 pounds without snapping, and it never actually snapped.
Okay. So
in that case, the heaviest person on the team is actually probably me, about 200 pounds.
Okay.
And that was assuming that the person was on one knee and jumping up and down.
Okay.
So spread out, overweight.
Right.
We didn't really have a punching problem anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, we definitely ran tests on that to make sure that the thinness wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the bending, since it's a doubly reinforced beam essentially, it can take a lot of capacity on the rebar itself.
And you guys had a judging competition this morning on aesthetics, or how did they judge that?
They went around and just made sure everything complied with all the different requirements that we had.
Okay.
One specific thing that the judges looked at was the reinforcement can only be half of the entire thickness of the canoe.
Okay.
So the rebar being about as thick as the canoe itself was kind of an issue. So our solution to that was we put a bump of another 0.4 right over the rebar in order to fulfill the minimum requirements.
Exciting.
So yeah.
It's always interesting when you have an idea that somebody says is crazy and then it turns out to work. That's an awesome experience. So you've gotten you've passed all the requirements, and now the competition is tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow is the actual rowing competition. Tonight is actually going to be the presentations that we have to give, which we're also judged on.
Okay.
But yeah, tomorrow is the main day where we're all going to go out to the dunes, and it's basically one huge party for all the schools, cheering on.
Oh, that sounds
we're
fun.
better than you, etc., etc.
What do you think your chances are compared to what you've seen from the other teams?
Well, we don't really know anything. We just kind of try to time ourselves, and San Luis Obispo usually blows everyone out of the water every year. So when we practiced this year, our goal time was to get as close as possible to their time. I'm hoping that we can go because the adrenaline rush of the actual competition day, I'm hoping drops a few seconds on our time. But if we're lucky, at least with the sprints, my partner and I are hoping to get within the top 5.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Is it a weighted score where you have the time plus the lightness of your canoe and so on?
So for the entire competition to win, there's 4 categories. There's the aesthetics, the presentation, the design paper, and actual racing.
Oh, wow.
So even if someone takes 100% all the races first place, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the competition.
Okay. Oh, exciting. Well, good luck. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
What's your experience been at UC Irvine? So you're almost graduating, and just a little bit about your experience.
I mean, it's been a really good experience for me because personally I'm from NorCal, so Sacramento. I come over here pretty much sheltered my entire life, and the growing curve is pretty quick. You have to really adjust really quickly. Specifically, I remember my roommate freshman year taught me a lot of living alone kind of things.
Okay.
I learned how to longboard.
Okay.
He taught me how to longboard. I learned different cooking techniques,
Okay.
And he was really into coffee, so I learned how to French press too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love coffee.
But there was that, and I know that I became much more involved my junior and senior year towards the end of it. I personally think that was a good fit for me because I came from a lot smaller school that I barely passed calculus. I wasn't really prepared for college in that. So the first few years the first quarter specifically was a huge learning curve where it's do or die. You either catch up or you essentially have to drop out of engineering. And I kept that mentality where of course you have to have a little bit of fun, but for the most part, I didn't involve myself with too many organizations until I had a solid foundation on what to do. And yeah, once specializations came along, you kind of understand that you want to do a certain field. Personally, for me, it's structures. So once you kind of choose that, you want to start doing more organizational stuff that pertains to that, and that's how I became involved with both concrete canoe and the ERI structure, which is the earthquake structures. So honestly, at that point, I just knew that I wanted to do structures, and if I didn't know something, I was going to learn it.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to say that I slacked off in my other classes, but it was more so to pass versus going in far and above what you normally do, so that you could achieve, in my personal case, structures. So my girlfriend is water, and she doesn't do structures very well, but she's really passionate about water. And I think that the most important thing that I've learned being here is that you have to find something specific in engineering that you're passionate about, because there's people that are really amazing at traffic, really amazing at water, and really amazing at structures, who couldn't for the life of them do one of the other disciplines. Right.
Yeah, putting your time into what you want to achieve.
Specifically, I think it's also the way that I know that a lot of people in structures are very, very good at doing the math and calculations. I think I'm okay at that, but for the most part, I think that helps me the most is being able to see and feel the structure. And I think that's my biggest asset when it comes to that. And it really helped with mechanics and materials. The reason I feel I did so well was actually because the professor would take a beam in class, draw on it, and actually show us how it would be bending, because I'm a very visual person. So, and that's also probably why I can't see traffic or water, because I can't see how they would bend or move or whatever.
That's true. Interesting. And you also are working now at an internship with Caltrans, right?
Yeah, I'm actually working right now. It's a traffic department, which I thought would be a good way to see the other disciplines and make sure that structure is what I want. It's something that I could do. It's something that isn't my love, but it's still something that I enjoy doing it. But Caltrans really is helping me to know what the professional atmosphere is, how I can keep improving myself, it's a lot different than going to school, taking a nap, and going back to class in the evening. It's working from, in my case, I work 6 a.m. to 3.
Okay.
So that, I still have my afternoons off.
Right.
But it's a lot different, and I think it's been a really growing experience for me, where you kind of just have to stand up, shake off, and keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I honestly am really grateful for that position as a student assistant, because it's just teaching you kind of like a lot of stuff that you didn't know in school, like change orders and all these different things.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I shared a similar experience where I worked at a transportation company for a while, and it may not be the thing. You find out what you really like.
Yeah.
You may find out you really love doing that rather than what you thought you might like. So that's interesting. So back to the concrete canoe. And I always like to turn an element of art into what you're doing. Is there an element of art to building a concrete canoe?
I don't know if this answers your question, but to me, having a really innovative structure is art to me. I personally, my goal in any job or any project that I take a hold of is doing it better than anyone's ever done it, or doing it differently and improve. Maybe go back on an idea that was passed over and figuring out why it didn't work and fixing that problem. It's also kind of the approach that we took for the seismic competition as well. Our structure is actually it's essentially a mega frame that could be potentially built on the East Coast to let's say 160 stories. But we only need our building to be 3 stories or 30 stories and seismically sound. So we just chopped off the top 130 stories, and we made a really stiff, structure that also was pretty lightweight because we used the tubular design.
Oh, interesting. So what did you make that out of?
We made shear wall balsa wood plates. Okay. And we essentially made hollow columns.
Okay.
And we put them all along the perimeter, and we connected them together with diagrids and shear walls, so that basically it made one huge mega frame. Wow!
So that is part of the PSWC today.
I'm not sure if it's actually technically part of it. I know it's going on at the same time.
Okay.
For the red tape, I don't know if it's officially part of PSWC, but all the schools that came here brought their structures, and I think it might be a separate, but equal kind of deal going on.
Okay, interesting. So we are right now. I should have mentioned we're sitting in the middle of Eldridge Park, right?
Yeah.
And the thing I love about this is you've got grass and path. When I was coming here, it was always an argument: is it faster to go along the path or to walk? Because the path is faster, or walk across the grass in a straight line, but you're going slower.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that?
Personally, since it depends on what time of the day.
Yeah.
If it's in the afternoons, I definitely like to just go right through the grass if I'm late for class.
Okay.
But if it's like after hours and that, I usually like to longboard places. And the nice thing about UCI is it's basically a cone cut or a cylinder that's cut at a 45-degree angle. So there's a really high point on campus.
Yeah,
and a really low point.
See that. Yeah.
So basically, if you start off at the top part of the campus, you can get to anywhere within 5 minutes if you ride there. Yeah. As compared to walking, where no matter where you go, it's pretty much like 10-minute walk wherever you want to go.
Yeah, and you have your longboard with you now.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Is there an element of art in your own life that you do to relax?
I don't know specifically about art. Of course, I love to doodle.
Okay.
Usually in class.
Yeah.
But I also know that I enjoy sports and whatnot, and that's also not so much the teams and whatnot. I of course I watch football, I enjoy it, but the art of what you're able to do when you put your mind to it, such as rowing, was a huge thing for me, where it's almost relaxing, where paddling gets down to being an art.
Right.
And my partner and I consistently shaving off 1 second can be the hardest thing ever when you're at getting down to the lower numbers.
Okay.
Versus when you're slow down and you're going back and forth and you can't really keep it straight. it's really easy to drop 10, 20 seconds.
Wow.
But once you start getting closer and closer to that optimal speed, it's really hard to break through that plateau.
How many times have you practiced the run?
I'd say at least maybe 100, 200 times.
Wow,
just because, yeah, we've been going out for almost 2 quarters now, pretty much every weekend. We usually do 4 or 5 runs per practice.
Okay.
And then towards the last month or so, I've actually been going out probably 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
So we have a lot of...
So your canoe's been done for some time?
We actually been using last year's canoe to practice.
Okay.
So, because we didn't really want to risk our canoe accidentally running into something and cracking it. But the nice thing is we slightly modified, but we kept the basic idea of last year's. So it's essentially the same shape, just with a little bit of tweaks. But we dropped the tail a little bit. We flattened it a little bit, so it's a little more buoyant when it slows down. So the top raises, so it's easier to turn when it's moving slow. Okay. But it's also the bottom drops into to help us keep it straight as we're moving fast. Okay. So it's kind of a double correction on that. And yeah, basically we've been practicing with last year's canoe. Sometimes we fill it up with water to account for this canoe that's a little bit heavier. Okay. That's good. Yeah, I think hopefully we're pretty much ready, but just the art for me comes down to the fact that it all comes down to exact technique in that, where one technique will throw you off. I remember yesterday, actually, I was practicing with my partner, and he goes to dig for one of the turns, and he slips, and we're moving at such a fast speed that he slides about 3 feet up the canoe. Okay. And is on his back, and he crawls back up and starts paddling again. Wow. But it's just little things like that where on the day of, you're just going to have to execute perfect. Right. Execution is the name of the game. Okay. Well, I want to find out maybe tomorrow after your competition. Let me know how it went. Hopefully I have something good to report. All right. Well, last question, it would be just... what do you see for your goals for the next couple of years as you graduate and beyond? Personally, my goal of 5 years, I really hope to have or be really close to having my ASCE, which is my structural license. Okay. Prior to that, of course, to get my structural license, I have to land with a good firm that's going to help me get to the point where I'm not doing taking my shortcuts and whatnot, making sure I do it right. Build that engineering judgment so that you can look at a structure and be like, this is going to fall down if this amount of load goes on it. And my goal is to find a career that kind of helps me towards that. Okay. 5 years from now is more of a stepping stone when you can never stop improving, because as soon as you stop moving, it's really hard to get started again. So just like a concrete canoe. Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. All right, no problem. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Did you guys work on the bridge?
I did not, but Pedro was on the bridge.
Hey, Pedro.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Chad.
Hi, nice to meet you, Chad.
Nice to meet you. I'll shake your 2 fingers there. I actually do a podcast on the art of engineering. Okay. Do you mind if I talk to you for a few minutes?
No, that's fine. Okay,
so this is your steel bridge?
Yeah, this is our steel bridge.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
So, part of the design was to either make it a full span or a cantilever bridge, and we went with a cantilever just to save on the cost. Otherwise, you had to move utilities and stuff like that. Okay. We went with a space truss decking for extra reinforcement. One thing we did differently this year was that we actually got laser cut. Oh, nice. Not laser cut, excuse me, water jet cut pieces.
See, like little dovetail joints in there, right?
Yeah, for the dovetails, yeah.
Oh, so do you have to be able to take it apart and put it back together in a certain amount of time? Or?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's so the way the competition is, it's all based on cost. Okay. And that cost comes from how light your bridge is, how much it deflects under the loading, and how fast you can construct it. So it's kind of mimicking like a real life project in a way.
Do you have to mark it so that you know which pieces go?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So right, as you see here, there's a right side and a left side. The right side is green and the left side is yellow.
Okay.
We also have labels just so we know which pieces they are, but when you're constructing, it's easier to see colors than the numbers and letters. So, and then we lay them out in a certain sequence, so they know what to grab, put it.
All right.
Grab the next one, put it. So that speeds up the construction as well.
How many times have you guys practiced that?
A lot. We practiced a lot with different combination of people too.
Oh, okay.
To see who to see who does it the fastest.
That's a smart way to go.
Yeah.
And then you guys are with Cal Poly Pomona.
Yeah.
And you having fun here? It's probably different get-togethers and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean this is one of the. So this is hosted by ASCE, and it's I think it's like the biggest civil engineering conference. So it's towards the end of the year, so we get to see all of our hard work throughout the year: design, fabrication. Careful, guys. And so we get to see all of our hard work throughout the whole year, and see everybody's hard work as well.
Right.
So it's like a big end of the year, I guess, conference.
Nice. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Is there an element of art that goes into this?
Yeah, aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
So,
okay.
Aesthetics. Yeah. So, we decided to polish our bridge to make it shiny and stand out compared. Because when you buy the steel, it's like coated.
Yeah.
As you can see, like some other bridges, they're darker.
They got the galvanizing.
Exactly. So we decided to polish ours and make it nice and shiny. We took pride in our labeling and actually got them stickers instead of like just having tape or just like writing it with Sharpie.
Okay.
And we also labeled it with tape.
And I see your school name on there. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's part of the requirement. Actually.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the requirement from the designs to have your name of your school on your bridge. So, yeah.
Well, good luck to you guys. Looks like a fantastic bridge.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah,
right.
we hope to do well this Saturday.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good. How are you? Hey, I do a podcast on the art of engineering. Can I talk to you guys for a minute? Sure. All right. So your Canoe, what school are you with? UCLA. And it looks like you have a theme, the Jabberwock?
Yeah.
That's like an Australian term, right?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, okay.
The Dragon and Alice in Wonderland.
The Dragon and Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
very
like
cool.
a poem called The Jabberwocky in the Lewis Carroll book.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you guys come up with that theme?
We thought about different themes and
We had
decided.
like a lot of list of full theme options we had, and then we just narrowed it down to Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So what sets your bridge apart from your canoe apart from the other canoes? In terms of like ingenuity.
I feel like we tried something new with the gradient, I'd say. That was something that was very challenging, and we tried it, and it was pretty cool.
Okay.
Sorry, is this a recorded podcast?
I am, yeah. It's not live.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So,
Nice. Are you a UCI student? Or
I'm a graduate.
in the what department?
Structures.
Structures. Nice.
Yeah.
What do you
About
do?
13 years ago.
Wow. What do you do with the podcast?
I just explore the overlap of art and engineering.
Wow. Okay. And you post them online, or?
I do. Yeah, I'll give you a card if you want.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, good luck
Did
to
you
you
do
guys.
the project?
I did help with it a little bit when I was in school, not a lot,
That's cool.
but
Yeah.
it was exciting. I think our
Very different back then, or?
very different,
Yeah.
not as technical, I think, as you guys have it now.
Yeah.
So it's a whole nother
It's
level.
very interesting just to like incorporate art ideas, like you were saying, art and
Yeah.
engineering, the intersection.
Okay.
Like we're engineers, but we had to come up with a aesthetically pleasing display.
Right.
We had to come up with ways to make our canoe look aesthetically pleasing, because ultimately you do get judged
Yeah.
to some extent
Okay.
on how it looks.
Good. All right. How's it going? So good luck to you guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, how's it going? Hey. Actually, I do a podcast on the art of engineering. Can I ask you guys about your bridge? Your canoe? I keep saying
I don't know that much about the bridge, but
I keep saying that. To me, it looks like a bridge because it keeps spanning from two supports here. Sorry. But your canoe looks fantastic. It's like a marble finish.
yeah,
that high gloss.
It's a rustic look. We were for like Greek pottery, so
How did you arrive at that theme?
We kind of like brainstormed a lot of different themes, and we narrowed to which one would
We thought it fit because the Greek pottery, like it has images on it and it tells a story. We felt like we could tell the story of how we built our canoe.
So what's your story?
So we have like strength up there, which is mainly like construction, using the sanding and using the physical techniques to build the canoe.
Okay.
And then back here we have a Parthenon and our owl, which symbolizes wisdom.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's basically mix, figuring out the right amount of materials to put in.
I love that theme with the story, building it into your canoe.
Yeah, and our name for the canoe Meraki, it translates from Greek to like pouring our heart and soul into like our work.
Wow.
So that's like, this is literally what it is.
That's like the essence of the podcast. Is we pour our heart and soul into our work. So that's beautiful. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
How much you guys have to practice? Quite a bit, I imagine, with racing and all that.
Yeah. Our paddlers, they did 5 days a week for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what do you have internally? Reinforcing, or what do you have?
Yes, we have it's right over here. We have a carbon fiber.
Okay.
And a fiberglass. The carbon fiber is better in tension.
Okay.
And we use the fiberglass as it's more cost effective, and the bigger POA, the area in between, allows for better binding with the concrete.
Okay.
And we have these steel cables that are tied into our carbon fiber.
Okay.
And we post tension that afterwards to reduce tensile demands.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
So like these cables, they like poke out here. We have 4 in the hole and 2 in the rails.
Okay.
And we have them like attached out. And there's a picture.
Right here. We are like scales.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we
Showing
weigh
the
the
loads.
cables down to add the weight.
Okay.
And the scales are the strain gauges.
Okay.
So you can see how much force we're putting into that based off the strain.
So it's a single cable that you're pulling. How much does each cable take?
We did it up to 275 on the bottom.
Yeah, and then it's like 230 for the rails.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. What a great design.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, good luck to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've been listening to The Art of Engineering. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and at www.taepodcast.com.